If he wore the universal armor, the moment someone attacked him, his armor's influence would immediately exceed 200,000, and he would be finished. He had experienced the terror of rune technology on the sky platform. It wasn't an attack, but it was even more terrifying. It was an existence that could directly erase the rune lines. Chi-Chi, I'll use your super flash. Don't use the tear bomb. Remember, don't use it, Luin sternly warned Hai Chi-Chi. Hai Chi-Chi was confused. In terms of power, the super flash couldn't be used. It was impossible for a tear bomb to have a combat power of 200,000. However, its instantaneous flash had an effect of more than 200,000. This meant that once it was used, its rune lines would exceed 200,000 combat power. Using it would be suicide. Of course, this was all based on the premise that the boiling energy above was the symbol progenitor's power. If it wasn't, then it would be fine. However, Luin was 90% sure that it was the rune technology, which was the symbol progenitor's power. Luin, look. There's someone up ahead. Hai Chi-Chi exclaimed as she pointed into the distance. Luin looked over and saw that it was a space-exploring powerhouse. Based on his rune lines, he was an explorer. Let's go and take a look. Right, don't call me by my name in front of outsiders. We can't let anyone know our true identities. Otherwise, the sixth mainland might invade the outerverse through the crack. Hai Chi-Chi understood the severity of the situation, and she nodded obediently without explaining herself. The figure drew closer and closer, and it was the young master who had escaped. Outer space was vast, but there was no place for him to stand. He looked back and saw that the spacecraft was getting closer and closer. A man and a woman appeared in front of him. The young master's eyes were filled with despair. Only someone from the sixth mainland would dare to appear in outer space. He hadn't expected that he would still be unable to escape death. But even if he died, he didn't want to die in vain. At least he had to drag one of them down with him. He gritted his teeth and charged forward. Luin looked at the man rushing over and felt that he looked familiar. He could sense that the man's star energy had circulated twice, but his power level was over 20,000. He was not an ordinary cultivator who could fight across realms. The newcomer quickly charged at Luin. He could sense that Luin was a 3-cycle explorer while Hai Chi-Chi was a 2-cycle explorer. If they were both from the innerverse, he wouldn't have been afraid. After all, he was the young master of Astral Mountain and was a powerhouse within the same realm. He would even dare to fight against a cruiser, but this was a cultivator from the sixth mainland. With an innate suppression and an imprint, he knew that his chances of survival were slim, but so what? He was prepared to fight to the death. He looks like he's going to attack us. Hai Chi-Chi was puzzled. Luin took a step forward, and the young master pulled out a long blade that was covered in purple battle force. If you join our Flying Horse Mountain Manor, I'll request that you be qualified to imprint your powers. Madam Hong, are you really willing to die here? Luin was confused. Even if I agree, will the Tong family let us go? Hong Ying's eyes lit up. As long as you agree, my Flying Horse Mountain Manor will have its ways. The Tong family can kill anyone from the fifth mainland at will, but if you join our Flying Horse Mountain Manor, the Tong family will not only offend us, but they will also break the rules of the 3 regions invading the fifth mainland. The Tong family's ancestor is one of the Daosaur sect's 10 elders, and he would not dare break the rules. Luin and Hai Chi-Chi exchanged glances, and then they looked at Hong Ying. 10 elders? Hong Ying raised her head. Since ancient times, each of the 6 mainlands has a Daosaur sect. This is the origin of cultivation, and the only Daosaur sect that has truly been preserved is the 6th mainland. My 6th mainland's Daosaur sect has 3 ancestors, 4 venerated elders and 10 elders. The elders are cosmic imprinters. Luin was shocked. The Tong family's ancestor is a cosmic imprinter? Of course. Otherwise, why do you think the Tong family monopolizes such a huge resource like the Starfall Sea? A cosmic imprinter's power level exceeds 1,000,000, and only a cosmic imprinter has the ability to drive away other powers and monopolize the Starfall Sea, Hong Ying explained. Luin frowned, as he had forgotten that the Tong family was a cosmic imprinter's family. Although there was only a difference of 1 word, the difference was like heaven and earth, just like the difference between Ancestor Chiohan and Ancestor Emojiang. How about it? I didn't lie to you. With the Tong family's tyranny, if you don't join my Flying Horse Mountain Manor, then you'll definitely die even if you hold me hostage, Hong Ying threatened. Hai Chi-Chi had originally thought that Hong Ying was just trying to scare them, but now she had confirmed that a cosmic imprinter's family was completely capable of using benefits to exchange for Hong Ying's life. As long as the benefits were great enough, the secret technique would be the greatest benefit. Don't worry. It's precisely because the Tong family's ancestor is one of the Dao Source sect's 10 elders that he understands the importance of rules. If he breaks the rules, then he might be stripped of his position as an elder, which would be a huge blow to the Tong family. So, as long as you join my Flying Horse Mountain Manor, I guarantee that you won't have to worry about anything, Hong Ying said seriously as she looked at Lu Yin. Lu Yin looked at the sky and did not respond. Hong Ying frowned and continued, my sixth mainland's 3 progenitors have 9 regions, and each region has a cosmic imprinter and a realmling. With your innate gift, it might not be impossible for you to fight for the position of a realmling in the future. My Grand Marshal Realm's realmling is Bai Ling, and she will leave the younger generation in a few years. At that time, the realmling competition will begin and you will have a chance. As long as you become a realmling, you will have the opportunity to meet the martial progenitor, and you might even become his disciple. Lu Yin still did not respond and he continued to look at the sky. Hong Ying coughed and then spoke again. If you become the martial progenitor's disciple, then your words will have greater authority, and your status will not be inferior to the 4 reverends. A single word from you can decide a region's resources, and a single word can decide the fate of countless people. You have friends in the 5th mainland, right? When the time comes you can save them. Do you have anyone you like? A single word from you and she will be yours. Hong Ying stared at Lu Yin, but he continued to look at the sky and did not respond. Hai Chi had a strange expression as she looked at Lu Yin. He had only wanted to send Hai Chi to the Sea King's dome, but now that he had come to the Greyweed continent, he did not know when he would be able to return. He had no idea how long that crack would last, and the more he thought about it, the heavier his heart became. Hai Chi shook Lu Yin's hand. Thank you. Lu Yin patted the back of her hand. Don't worry, it'll be fine. Hai Chi nodded, her gaze resolute. She was much stronger than when she had left the Starfall Sea, and she could quickly adjust her state of mind. Lu Yin did not ask her about the Sea King's situation, and since Hai Chi did not take the initiative to tell him, it proved that the Sea King's situation was a secret. Perhaps whether or not they could leave the Greyweed continent would depend on the Sea King. Right now, Lu Yin was looking forward to meeting the Divine Fist. The 10 arbiters were now on the same continent as him, and they were definitely not far from each other. The day of their meeting was fast approaching. Just as Lu Yin thought that they would be able to smoothly head to the Chongshan Training Hall, the void in the distance tore open and a foot stepped out. A scholarly middle-aged man appeared in front of everyone. It was Mr. E. As he appeared, the void behind him expanded, and Elder Yuan, Elder Song and 20 other experts from the 6th mainland all appeared, standing tall in the sky. The Thunder Dao Master sighed. They had indeed been caught. Without further ado, the battle immediately began. The Thunder Dao Master charged at Mr. E and attacked with lightning. The entire sky was filled with lightning that condensed into a bolt of lightning that shot out. Mr. E smiled and waved his hand, causing the lightning to dissipate. Everyone was stunned. Elder Tong's expression turned ugly as this was an imprinter. Only an existence with a power level of over 500,000 could ignore star energy attacks. This was the suppression of a higher level. Even though there were tens of thousands of cultivators on the Greyweed continent, they were still completely suppressed by Mr. Yi's 22 subordinates, as none of them were ordinary cultivators. Elder Song found Lu Yin and sneered, "You won't be able to escape, kid." His imprint appeared behind him as he spoke. He raised a hand and flicked his fingers, causing 5 oblate spheres to shoot out. They pierced through dozens of cultivators along the way, creating a bloody mist as they headed straight for Lu Yin. Lu Yin flung Hai Chi out of the way and quickly dodged as well. The 5 oblate spheres exploded, transforming into tree branches that instantly spread out and bound over 1,000 cultivators, including Lu Yin. Elder Song charged over. "Junior, you won't have a chance this time." Lu Yin saw Elder Song approach and his eyes flashed. Fates and appeared in front of him. Elder Song struck out with a palm, but he was unable to disperse the fates and he quickly followed up with a second palm strike, then a third, until the fates and automatically returned to Lu Yin's body. Elder Song then raised his palm and pressed it down on Lu Yin's head. He wasn't trying to kill Lu Yin, but rather knock him out and take him away so that he could interrogate him about the secret technique. Elder Song had already made up his mind. He planned to take Lu Yin away from the main group and return to the Tong family after interrogating him about the secret technique. Elder Song had already suppressed his astral phenomenon and was using the greatest amount of power he could muster. He was using his exquisite control over star energy to isolate the cultivators around him. This level of control was completely different from a lockbreaker's control over star energy. One was control while the other was control. The difference of a single word was like the difference between heaven and earth. His words were completely different from his expression. Why are you all dead? No way, you all died so miserably. I didn't plan on killing you. You must have been scared to death. Wait, scared to death? Are there ghosts? I'm so scared. Actually, I just wanted to ask for directions. Right, do you know where Mount Zhongshan Dojo is? No, you're all dead. It's really scary. You're all dead, so is there anyone alive? Just answer me. I'm a kind person and some people say that I talk too much. What can I do if I don't speak to the dead? If I don't speak, then no one will speak. It's very awkward if I don't speak. Around Mount Zhongshan Dojo, the dojos that had not been taken down were lost one by one. The Flying Horse Villa's experts had joined in, and with the Tong family's full force, they wanted to take over the entire Greyweed continent. 10 days later, on the 10th floor of Mount Zhongshan Dojo, Lu Yin raised his right fist and punched at the empty space. Countless sonic booms were heard, transforming into visible waves that distorted the void. Many people around him were shocked. This is 50 stacks. He comprehended it so quickly. Lu Yin retracted his right arm. 50 stacks was much more powerful than 30 stacks, but it was not enough. He continued. He was comprehending overlaying stacks on the 10th floor and did not see a familiar person coming to Mount Zhongshan Dojo. It was Zhang Dingtian, who was now Lan Dao. Taishin Dojo had been destroyed, and Zhang Dingtian had managed to escape. It took him more than 10 days to reach Mount Zhongshan Dojo. He was not the only one. Many cultivators from the Greyweed continent had gathered at Mount Zhongshan Dojo in large groups or scattered groups. Mount Zhongshan Dojo was now the Greyweed continent's last hope. Zhang Dingtian was the only survivor of Taishin Dojo, and he was also the one who had restarted it. His arrival attracted the attention of Lan Dao Master and the others. After reporting the situation of Taishin Dojo to Lan Dao Master and the others, Zhang Dingtian met Lan Baobao, who was staring at the gravitational land. Lan Dao? You're still alive? Lan Baobao was shocked. This person had been valued by her brother Lan Si when he had first arrived in the Greyweed continent. Back then he had been very weak, and Lan Baobao did not understand why her brother had valued him. Not only had he given him the title of Lan Dao, but he had also thrown him into the abandoned Taishin Dojo. Reality had proven that her brother had a good eye. This person had obtained the Taishin Dojo's inheritance, and his strength had increased by leaps and bounds. He had even surpassed Lan Yu. Among the younger generation of Mount Zhongshan Dojo, this person was second only to Lan Si and herself. Zhang Dingtian nodded. I'm the only survivor of Taishin Dojo. Lan Baobao was dejected and she looked up at the gravitational land again. Zhang Dingtian did not say anything else and walked towards the gravitational land. Every time he came to Mount Zhongshan Dojo, he would step onto the gravitational land and cultivate diligently. Lan Baobao suddenly thought of something. Lan Dao, do you remember that Lu Yin you met at the Sea King's dome during the Sea King's son-in-law selection? Zhang Dingtian's eyes widened and he looked at Lan Baobao. Why are you asking about him? Lan Baobao did not notice Zhang Dingtian's abnormality and she asked, was he really just a Lemiter back then? Zhang Dingtian nodded. Yes. What do you think of his innate gift? Zhang Dingtian frowned. Why are you asking about him? Lan Baobao had a complicated look in her eyes and she pointed at the 10th level. He's right there. Zhang Dingtian was shocked, and his eyes flashed with joy. He looked at the 10th level and then he was shocked. He had already broken through to the Explorer realm, and his strength had improved rapidly over the past few years. Kid, I'll leave Mr. E to you. Can you deal with him? At that moment, the Sea King's voice traveled to Lu Yin's ears. Lu Yin looked up at Mr. E. Since this person had dared to appear, he definitely had a way to deal with the stench, but Lu Yin was not confident. Coincidentally, Mr. Yi's gaze passed through the crowd, and as if there was some sort of invisible force, he met Lu Yin's gaze. A deep chill and disgust appeared in the depths of his eyes, and a nauseating feeling welled up from the bottom of his heart, causing Mr. Yi's expression to change. Lu Yin's eyes lit up, and he made a smashing motion. Mr. Yi subconsciously took a step back. To the side, Granny Sly and the others frowned. Lu Yin's confidence soared. Could it be that he had no way to deal with the stench? After the two sides stared at each other for several hours, a figure suddenly crossed through the void and appeared in front of Mr. Yi and the others. She had a seductive figure and a beautiful face. Was a woman. She wasn't young, but she had a fatal charm that most women didn't have. Even if he only saw her from afar, he could smell her alluring fragrance. That was Madame Red. At this moment, anyone who recognized Madame Red fell into despair. Madame Red was a world imprinter who was second only to the Tong family's ancestor in the Grand Martial realm. Her power level exceeded 800,000, and she was incomparably terrifying. You care about him a lot? Bai Ling replied. He defeated Hong Ying and the corpse pickers at the same time. Among the younger generation of the Grand Martial realm, he's second only to me. More importantly, he's just an explorer. Once he becomes a hunter, you and I might not be his match. He's a threat, and I need to either subdue or eliminate him. Lan Si shook his head. You can't do it with me around. Bai Ling's eyes narrowed. Try it. She then raised her hand and placed it flat with her palm facing up. After that, the entire battlefield's clamor disappeared. Countless people were flabbergasted as all the sounds in their ears disappeared. They all transformed into birds that flew towards Lu Yin. Lu Yin's pupils shrank when he saw Bai Ling's icy, murderous gaze. He cursed under his breath, what a freak. Countless birds chirped as they flew in from all directions. The scene was shocking, and even Lan Si could do nothing about it. He was confident that he could defeat Bai Ling in a direct confrontation, but it would be difficult for him to block her attacks. It wasn't just Lan Si. Aside from Madame Red, there was probably no one else present who could intercept so many birds that had manifested their voices and were infused with their spiritual force battle techniques. Countless birds flew towards the lava as if they were migrating. As long as there was sound, Bai Ling could do anything. This was the power of the Grand Martial Realm's Realmlings. Lu Yin dove into the cave. He had hidden here not because he was afraid, but because he did not want to expose the fact that he could withstand the spiritual force attacks of the Realmlings. Once the strength of his spiritual force was exposed, it would become an even greater threat to some people. Thus, it would be best if he did not expose himself. He was confident that he could withstand the bombardment of these birds. When Lu Yin dove into the cave, what he saw was not an empty space, but a giant sylvan dragon that was looking at him in astonishment. They looked at each other, and then the sylvan dragon said, "There's someone here. Go find another cave." Lu Yin blinked, and there was a strange look in his eyes. He slowly turned around and saw countless birds rushing in. The sylvan dragon was stunned. What's that? As soon as it finished speaking, the first bird exploded, followed by countless others. Lu Yin subconsciously hid behind the sylvan dragon. He could withstand the spiritual force attacks, but the explosive power of these birds was not small either. It was just nice that someone could help him block them.